Okay, so here's the second video in the Monza Madness public lobby race that I done today. Yeah, I'll just roll forward to the actual start and I'll let it play out. This is probably an example of being sensible over cautious, but yeah. And I'll just play it up until the point when I was taken out by that Porsche, as we seen in the previous video. And then, yeah, obviously he went on to take out another 3 or 4 cars. But anyway, so the point here is that at the start, I give up position. I think I actually brake at one point to give up position. Right there. Now, the reason being, and let me just go back maybe 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so this is where you have to be sensible, and I talk about being sensible all the time, right? So we've got, you know, the 2 Ferraris here on the right side. So going into turn 1, I'm not going to make a position on this car on the left because these 2 guys are in front of me, and there's people in front of them as well. So it's just it's a lost cause, right? Nothing good is going to come of this if I decide to stay here and try to make positions. It's going to end in a wreck 9 times out of 10. I've also got a Porsche behind, and I know this sounds crazy, but I look when I'm in a public lobby at the, you know, the white, silver, red, if someone is like a, you know, pro driver, silver driver, amateur driver, because this guy was an amateur, and normally they make, you know, rash decisions. I mean, they're new to sim racing, right? Or they're new to ACC, and sometimes they make, you know, strange calls, and it's kind of a situation where you don't want to get caught up in it. So what happens is, and I'm just going to slow this down, he moves out to the right hand side. Now, anyone that knows the Porsche, they have brilliant acceleration out of corners at the start of the race, and you have to remember at this point I'm aware, because of my radar, that he's, you know, coming alongside. I'm getting the radar turn orange at the top of my screen, and it's a risk I don't want to take. I don't want to get caught up in this. At the same time, from looking behind, let me just change the view. The next car, like, is a good bit back, so I'm happy enough to, you know, decide, okay, the Porsche, I don't know what he's doing on the right hand side. There's nothing to be gained in front because there's too much. And in this situation, it might be better to slot in behind the car on the left, the Lambo, I believe, and take to an escape down the left into turn 1 if stuff starts getting out of hand. So you'll see as we roll on, the Porsche is still there, and I believe it's probably at this point that I'm actually completely backing out of it, and you can see there I'm on the brake, because you know, I'm sandwiched into turn 1 at Monza is bad. It's a bad place to be, no matter where you are, even if you're on pole, even if you're last. But when you're caught between 2 other cars, I just stopped to play it safe. Do the, you know, sensible thing. Let them guys kind of have it out if they want. And, you know, maybe I'm giving up position to this Ferrari as well, but, you know, who cares? It's turn 1 at Monza. It's always going to be a mess. And you really have to be thinking into turn 1, particularly on this track, is to survive the opening couple of corners. That's your goal, particularly if you're in the mid pack. And if everybody thinks along those lines, we'll have less of a mess going into these Monza turn 1s, generally speaking. Now, if I just stop it here, and this actually kind of makes the example perfectly. I would have been either where that Porsche is now or in front of that Porsche, and that's not a place I want to be. I'll happily give up a few positions to keep out of trouble at the start. Now, as it turns out, all three of these guys make some sort of contact. The Ferrari runs a bit wide, the Porsche is tipped twice by the green Ferrari. The black Ferrari then comes back across and is hit by the other two cars. And basically, that was me if I didn't give up those positions at the start. Again, just an example as you know how you might want to think at the start of a race, particularly at a track like Monza. I know you can apply similar principles to Spa going into Eau Rouge, for example. As much as people try, 2 and 3 wide tends not to work too much, but yet people still try it. So the lesson, the advice here is to kind of be willing to sacrifice a little early on to try to make it up. Later on in the race. You know, you can see there. I mean, there's cars everywhere. It's just not worth it. It's best to avoid stuff like that. Now, in my case, as we can see, it didn't really matter too much because the Porsche managed to get me anyway. But yeah, I mean, these things happen. But yeah, I raced on and finished like 10th position or whatever. But yeah, it's covered in a separate video. But yeah, so hopefully this is advice to people. And yeah, until the next one.